Oh man, they are jacking up the price of the lottery. So here we are, the Mega Millions Consortium has decided to raise the price of a Mega Millions ticket to $5, and this is going to take effect in April of 2025. Now, this is the press release, so among other things, what they're saying this will do for everybody is they're going to change the odds to win the jackpots. That's going to be a little bit higher. I've looked into this, and the change is going to be from approximately 0% to approximately 0%. But seriously, it's something like 1 in 302 million, and it's going to change to something like 1 in 290 or 278 million, depending on where you look. Again, the probability is basically zero, and the changes they're going to make are really not going to change that. But that's the way lotteries are. The next three are actually mostly bullcrap. Bigger jackpots more frequently, larger starting jackpots, and faster growing jackpots. Well, if you understand how the lottery works, of course all these things are going to happen. That is the result of, well, each ticket costing more money. When the tickets cost more money, the jackpots get bigger because the jackpots are based on the amount collected from ticket sales. One of the other features, they're going to add in built-in multipliers. Used to, you would have to buy these things. And lastly, no break-even prizes. So this means if you ever win, you will at least get more than your money back, because the base prize in previous versions of the game, on a $2 ticket, you could win $2 back. And now they're saying basically you're going to be able to win more than $5 back. Now, with all of this, there's just a bunch of junk in this thing. Like, hey, they say they've produced a record 6 jackpot wins exceeding $1 billion. And that's kind of horse crap, because they have never paid out anybody more than $1 billion. In the United States, the largest jackpot that's ever been hit is $998 million, and that was Powerball. Basically, their claim is based on this jackpot value, and the thing is that this is a lie. Nobody ever wins this amount of money. These are the future values of the lotteries, not the present values. If you know how lotteries pay out, they typically give you a number based on future annuity payments, but again, that's not how money works. These numbers, the cash value, that's the actual value of the lottery. So all this stuff, they are just trying to give you the biggest number possible, and that's part of the reason why they're increasing the price of a ticket. Basically, if we look at this in time value of money frameworks, the lottery jackpot is a future value, and the real jackpot is the present value. And so they really take the present value number and then they transform it into a future value, and they lie to you by telling you this is the amount of money you are going to win. But you're not going to get this amount of money. You're going to get this amount of money. So all through here, they talk about part of the reasoning behind why they're going to increase their price, right? They're talking about creating more billionaires and more millionaires, even though, again, they've never actually created a billionaire ever. And if you read around, there have been some interviews with people from the Mega Millions Consortiums that they talk about their reasoning behind this price increase. So on the New York Times, they say, look, this is part of a larger effort to have larger jackpots. Now, why would Mega Millions want higher jackpots? Well, if you read down here, they'll say, hey, we saw that $5 wasn't a big thing for people that play the lottery, right? And big jackpots are a huge driver for people that buy tickets. And so, you know, when they say they wanted to do what they can to satisfy those new players, well, sort of what they want to do is increase revenue. Now, the way they want to do that is by kind of understanding who plays lottery and why do people buy a lottery ticket. Most people understand that the true odds of winning are basically a 0. And if we start adding decimals, you'll see, I mean, you've got to add 8 decimal places just to get to a number to pop up in the odds of winning the Mega Millions lottery. Now, they're saying that they're going to increase those odds by turning them from 1 in 320 million to something like 1 in 278 million. And how does that change your odds? Well, it goes from a 31 over here to a 36, and that's something like a 8.5% increase. But again, the number of zeros doesn't change. This is a 0. Since people aren't dumb, they know that. They know that they're not going to win the lottery. So most people don't play the lottery to win. Why do people play the lottery? Well, they only play when there's really big jackpots. And the reason is because they know they're not going to win, but it's fun to dream. And if you're going to dream, I'm not going to mess around with 20 or 50 or $100 million. I want to dream about hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And so a lot of people will only buy one ticket, and they'll only buy a ticket whenever the jackpots are huge. And the lottery commissioners know this. And so what they want to do is try to pump the jackpots to induce more people to buy those one-off tickets. And they've done this before. They increased the price to $2 from $1 back in 2017. And since then, we've had more frequent, huge jackpots. And so they've kind of seen that they can increase their revenues by increasing the jackpot sizes because it draws more people in to play the lottery. Here they say that their jackpot surpassed $1 billion for the first time shortly after they increased that price. And since then, it's done 6 times. And so now they're thinking, well, if we increase the price another 2.5 times, we are going to increase the frequency of these really big jackpots, and that's going to raise more money. And why do they want to raise more money and get more people playing? Well, there's a couple of things I think are playing in. One of them is mentioned here is interest rates, right? The way these jackpots are stated is based on the future values in this formula. But remember, that's not really the actual amount of money that's changing hands. The present values in this equation are really the thing that matters. So one of the problems is they advertise a number that's not real, and it's influenced not just by present values, and these present values are dominated by collections from the lottery. It's also influenced by interest rates. And so during time periods where interest rates are larger, they advertise larger jackpots, but there's not really more money on the table. And for the players, that means that they aren't getting as big a payouts, even though the advertised payouts are larger. The flip side of that is it also means the lotteries themselves aren't collecting as much money as it looks like, because a lot of the payout might be driven by the interest rates. And as interest rates fall, they have a problem because the jackpots they are going to be able to advertise are not as inflated as they would be during times of high rates. Now, again, people play based on seeing these big payout numbers. So when the payouts drop, the amount of players drop, and the actual amount of money drops. And that leads to why do they care about raising so much money in the first place? And this is where we want to think about where does the money for the lottery go? Well, we can go out here to the website of the North American Association of State and Provincial Lotteries and answer that question. And you can see their top stories, Nebraska Lottery transfers $1 billion in proceeds since 1993. Massachusetts Lottery produces $1.159 billion in net profits in 2024. If we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see a little section called Where the Money Goes. And here you can see who benefits from the lottery. And it is states. These are all nonprofit organizations that are being used to fund mostly education. And these are all the 2023 contributions to each jurisdiction, right? You can see here California to the education fund, almost $2.3 billion in 2023. Florida, almost $2.5 billion to their education trust fund. Georgia, Hope Scholarships, pre-kindergarten, Lottery for Education, $1.5 billion. New Jersey, $1.2 billion for education institutions. Here you go, New York, $3.7 billion into their education funds. And so this is one of the primary drivers of this change. These states want more money to go into their budgets. And how do you get more money into these budgets? Well, we need more money from these lottery systems. Well, if you know that most people only play your game whenever the jackpots are really big, you've got to make sure that your jackpots are big more often. And how can you do that? Well, just charge people more money to play. And since you know the price change will likely not lead into a significant demand decline, and I think here's an interesting related quote from the New York Times. They interviewed a convenience store manager in Manhattan. He said, look, people are still going to play even with the increased price, right? He says they're going to be mad, but they're going to bet, right? And that's one of the things. The Lottery Commission is betting that you're still going to buy a ticket, even if it costs $5 instead of $2, when you see that jackpot clicking over $500 million. What does this mean? Well, we expect more billion-dollar jackpots, i.e., these values are going to be bigger for them too. They're going to raise more money. That's going to go into the education budgets. And so, I think it's funny that a lot of comments on my videos about like free open source software and economics talk about greedy corporations. Well, look, these are actual governments, and the reality is that people are greedy. It doesn't matter if they're a corporation, it doesn't matter if they're for-profit or non-profit, because all these lotteries, these are all state-run non-profit organizations, and they're going to put the screws to people playing lottery tickets just to raise more money. It's just how these things work, right? If you give somebody the levers and they figure out, hey, we need more money, where are we going to get it? Well, we're just going to change the price of a lottery ticket. And at the end of the day, most people are going to say, who cares, right? I mean, the lottery's gambling anyway. Who cares if it costs people more money? Well, I mean, again, maybe so, but I mean, it really is increasing the price to dream, right? If you read this last quote on the New York Times, sometimes it breaks my heart, but he added, everybody's open to winning. So anyway, that's it. I just thought it was interesting, the logic behind this price increase and kind of how it all works and how lottery payouts work. If you're interested in more of this, I do have a video on lottery discount rates and how you can figure out what the current discount rate on these lotteries are and how they figure out, these payments that I was talking about, the annuity payouts and stuff. If you're interested in that, I'll link it in the description below. Otherwise, that's all I got. Appreciate your time.